Hello model car fans, welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Ral, and this week I'm going to feature a 69 Cougar convertible here. This is a 428 Cobra Jet model here. Quite the car. I really like these. As you can tell, I've done a few Cougars. I did the Illuminator video on that one just a month back or so. So to continue on that story, for 69 the Cougar gained a few options here. The convertible became available, although not available in the Eliminator package. So if you saw my video on the Eliminator was a very outgoing and colorful package, but only available in 4 colors with the stripes and everything. But if you wanted to build a much more sedate Cougar, this was one of your options. Go with the XR7 or the base Cougar, which this one actually represents the base, which is even more rare, and I'm not sure how many 428 CJ convertibles were made as the base. I was reading that 96 were made, or at least 96 R code 428 Cobra Jet. The R code is the Ram Air, which comes with the scoop, which is painted body color. Most of them were that way. Very rare is the Q code 428, which is the same motor, same 335 horsepower and 440 foot-pounds of torque, but non-Ram Air with the flat hood. So most of them have this hood, which I think looks really cool. And the stripe, tried to research it, but couldn't really get an answer on it. Like that stripe that's on there, if all R codes got it. The Q codes that I had seen, which are very rare, I didn't see the stripe, no scoop, no stripe, but every one of them I've seen with the scoop that had the 428 had the stripe, except for the Eliminators. The 428 was available in the Eliminator, but those had a different stripe package, and I did not see this stripe on the Eliminator, but I did see it on every one of these R code convertibles. But it may have been standard on the R code, and then you could delete it, but I'm not really sure there. So if you know on that, please comment and clarify that for me. I do know that the mirror was strictly driver's side only on the Cougar for 69 for some odd reason, like the convertible just coming out. But most of the convertibles were the XR7 interiors with the wood grain and all of the extra. But I did this one as a base because this did not have the XR7, but it had the more sporty interior, but not the XR7. So I did it that way. So there's no XR7 emblem here, but would be very rare. I don't know how many of the 96 R code convertibles were manual tranny. Well, I think the manual tranny, I think I read somewhere that there was about 20 of them that were manual tranny with the R code 428, but the Q code ones are very rare. The Q code I was reading, there was 13 of them in convertibles. 2 of them were manual tranny. So a Q code manual tranny 428 convertible would be extremely rare. Most of them are R codes, but I can understand why, because for the price difference, you might as well get the air grabber. Very, very crazy car, and it was funny reading about it because most of them came with the 3.0 gear rear end. Some of them, the locker was an option, so most of them are highway geared with that motor. But with the torque and everything, I'm sure this thing could just haul. The 428 motor I really like, and I think if I were to build a hopped up FE, I'd probably go that route. But I always thought the FE engines were really interesting because the 427, that's the high winding racing motor that makes a lot of horsepower, but it doesn't quite make the torque. But some of the reasons for that is the 427 and the 390 actually share the same stroke in the crank. I don't believe the cranks are the same. I understand the 390 cranks are cast and the 427 cranks are forged, but dimensionally they share the same stroke. Interestingly, the 428 and the 390 pretty much share the same bore but different strokes. So the 428 makes a lot more torque because it has a special crank and a lot more stroke to it, but it has the same bore. The 427 has a special block with a very specific bore that I've read is not to be bored 30 over. It's recommended not to bore it 30 over because it's already pretty bored out from OCO. But I get a kick out of reading about some of those, or how the 390 and the 428 actually share the same bore. So I wonder if you could take a 390 block and stroke it to make the 428 out of it. But the 427, it shares the same stroke as a 390, but it has a very specific bore and very high winding. And the heads, of course, were different between the various 427s and a 390. It's just fun reading about all that stuff and thinking or what ifs. But my personal experience with the FE motors are my dad's old T-Birds with the 352s in them. And I think one of them had a 390 in it at one time. But that's kind of enough about that. But this one, I started with the AMT, and it was actually the 428 version of this kit, which I'll show you the box art for it. But I do know that there was one that it said Cougar Eliminator on the box, but it had the box art with this wheel and that hood stripe and everything, kind of making you believe it had the 428 in it, but that kit did not. I got it from, actually had these Cougar road wheels, which are very cool, came from in 14-inch, and I really like them. And it also came with the 428 engine, which is in here, which is a pretty decent representation. The later tools had a much better engine and details under the hood than the original annuals. But this kit has changed a lot. If I had all the unbuilt versions, I would probably do a kit comparison because there's so many differences. This one's got an automatic tranny with the automatic pedal and automatic shifter. But and one thing when I show this car and I get asked a lot about is this luggage rack on the trunk, how I made it. I actually didn't make that. It comes in an AMT kit. The 71 and 72 Corvette Roadsters come with that in the box, so I'll provide a box art of that too. But that's right out of that kit, and I just glued it right on here, and it was so fitting to add this to a Cougar convertible since it's such a luxury car. And then I also added the photo etch hood pins there. Added those. I just kind of prefer them. And then painted the scoop. And this is a recent build. I finished it I think 4 years ago. I didn't look up the date in my history on when I built it, but it's a real recent build for me. And I don't remember what color paint I used. I know it was Testors in a spray can, but I decanted it and sprayed it in my airbrush. I just don't remember what color it is. And then the tan interior is just Testors tan, flat tan, and sprayed that. And this convertible boot is from the 73 Cougar, which the model's a hardtop, but the convertible boot is in that kit. Don't know why, but well, I think it's because it dates back to the 70 Cougar MPC annual that is available in a convertible, which I have one of those kits. I've shown a built resin one. I have another one of those as well. But the 73 comes with his boot. So pretty easy conversion. I actually just completely cut the roof off, sanded that all flat, and I added the dog legs here. It's just styrene that I cut and shaped and glued them in there. So I added those to make the convertible boot fit a little better, and it came out awesome. And then I used those sun visors from something. I think at one time I had a mold and I was casting some and adding them, but I had trimmed the windshield and added those. But she came out pretty awesome. And oh, one other thing on this one that I did change. Some of the earlier kits had this bumper with the guards that hang down, or the fangs. I like to call them fangs, but they're pretty much bumper guards. The annual kit had this with the actual 1969 plate, and then after that, the Street Machine kit had this bumper with the fangs, but the later kits that were turned into this tooling, they removed them completely so they were smooth. So I sourced an earlier bumper and used it instead of the one that was in the kit, because I just like to change the variety. And then there's their bumper that came in the kit in the back, and I printed up my own license plate, or at least I think that one. No, I think that one came in one of the kits, and I used that. And I get asked all the time about this too. That's foil, the emblem here, if I can hold it straight. I foiled that and just carefully cut it with my X-Acto knife. Now my hands are getting a little shakier as I get older, and it gets a little harder, but still able to do it. But really enjoyed this build, and I really like how it came out with the tires and the wheels and the convertible top cut off and everything. And every now and then I see one of these kits and I think maybe I should grab another one, because I've built a number of these Cougars. I really love the Cougars, and there's just so many different ways you can build these kits, which is, you know, I get asked by people who don't build models, You know, why do I have so many of the same one? Well, you don't have to build it the same way every time. I know all of you guys can understand and appreciate that, because we all do it, and we do kit bash, like just a few minor changes of parts added to this kit, but most of the parts are out of the box. But other than adding the photo etch, changing out the front bumper, the luggage rack, and the convertible boot, just, you know, a few little changes here and there. But she came out awesome. Just you can't say I have a favorite, because with so many models built, and every single one of them, when you build a model, that's how you would own it if you built it, or you know, your vision of the best example of that. But I have fun building these and sharing them with you, and appreciate all of your comments and everything. But and this is one of the ones in my opening sequence when the photos scroll over. I'm getting most of those featured now. I think I got 3 or 4 left that I haven't featured of those 16. But this one's in those opening credits, and I've been asked a few times to please feature it. Show us more on that particular car. So I hope you you know, you didn't mind the wait, and you really appreciate it, and you enjoy it. But you know, as I really love this one, and all of my builds. I mean, it's really hard to pick a favorite. I don't know if any of you guys that build could pick a favorite or comment on that, but it's a fun kit to build. I just enjoy building a lot of these, and thank you for tuning in and subscribing, and all of your comments. I really appreciate it, and hit that like and subscribe button. Really helps me out and supports me, and keeps me going here, because I really enjoy doing this for you guys. And you guys, you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next Saturday.